I don't care if you're on the left or the right. There is only one thing that really, truly works. If you're really trying to change and you're really trying to show oppression, you don't swing back. Now, last week, if you remember right, the protesters in Hong Kong, they went into the airport. And I said at the time, they're spray painting things on the wall at the airport. They kind of look like they're masked, which they have to be when you're dealing with China. But they didn't look like they were the good guys per se. And the only time that I saw them last week really looking like good guys when they were singing the American national anthem, but that doesn't play necessarily for China or the rest of the world. But also when the police were beating them and the guy was just down on the ground and he was defenseless. That seemed to me to be like Martin Luther King in Birmingham as they're, releasing the dogs and using fire hoses and everything else. So what did they do? Well, late last week, they got back together. And now remember, this is an organization that doesn't have a head organization. So I'm not sure it'll ever be truly effective because there is no coordination at all. But the Chinese protesters got together, the Hong Kong protesters got together and said, no violence. We've got to be peaceful. No violence. None of the destruction or anything else that happened. And so 1.5 million people got on the streets in Hong Kong this weekend. And all they did was silently march. As much as people think that doesn't make a difference, it does. Now, here's the key. Gandhi and Martin Luther King knew that you have to be nonviolent and you have to fall into the Judeo-Christian worldview if you want to make a difference in the West. Whether we all go to church or not is a different thing, but we were all raised, most of us, were raised that Moses and Jesus, that was the way to go. It's peaceful and a happy warrior. That's why Martin Luther King and Gandhi both won. Malcolm X lost. The question is, does the world hold those Judeo-Christian values enough anymore? In talking about what do you do with Hong Kong, nothing. The president can't do anything, and we shouldn't be involved in everything around the world. However, we as individuals should be saying things. We as individuals should be standing up for the people of Hong Kong. Not the government, not the army, not the military. The president can say things like, I support people who are freedom fighters. And I hope that everything is solved peacefully, but that's their business. Now, I don't like that because I think Taiwan is next, and I think the rest of the world is after that when it comes to China. However, we are not the world's policemen, nor can we be. But the voice of the American people and the people in the West has been diminished and dampened because the politicians in our own countries have been telling us to shut up and sit down. They've been either telling us this or been sending messages that your voice isn't powerful, but the exact opposite is true. And so as these people are seen on television, and they are seen to be peaceful people that are really, truly just standing up for against real oppression, I think we need to support them vocally. We as a people need to let them know that they're being seen. That will be important. They're being seen and they're being heard. But are we still the people that Gandhi and Martin Luther King tried to appeal to? Does the West even have those values anymore? Or have we abandoned them for big state, big government, big surveillance, big protection, globalist kind of ideas, has the individual that was born to be free, does that really matter to us anymore? Does the guy who takes the beating and says, like Christ, you can beat me if you want, but I will not change, does that still appeal to us?